Bruin fans, fall is finally here. That means UCLA football is back in your life. Head out to the Rose Bowl to enjoy America's best tailgating and to make more unforgettable memories with the Bruins. Nico Iamaleava and the Bruins are ready to make an impact this year, and we need you cheering them at the Rose Bowl. Visit UCLABruins.com or call 310-UCLA-WIN to lock in your tickets today. 310-UCLA-WIN.
Good afternoon. Getting right down to business here. We're doing it live, doing more at 4 weekday afternoons, right after Guy Benson and just before the 790 KBC News Blitz with Randy Wang at 5. Mottek On Money, voice of business news here in Los Angeles, live on the air, 790 KBC, streaming live online worldwide at kbc.com. And, of course, the on-demand Mottek On Money podcast, kbc.com, Apple iTunes, YouTube, all your favorite podcast platforms. Stocks pulling back today, another pretty thick news day today. Tech stocks leading the decline as Wall Street kept an eye on the U.S.-China trade story and the trade truce struck by the president and the Chinese leader. All of this as the earnings parade continued with some big names reporting after the closing bell, including Apple as well as Amazon. We'll have extended coverage this hour and all that. I'll be joined later this hour by top tech analyst Daniel Ives, Managing Director and Global Head of Technology Research at Wedbush Securities, headquartered here in Southern California. He's also chairman of 8Co Holdings, which is building a WorldCoin crypto treasury reserve. The Dow came in for a closing loss today of 110 points, settling at 47,522. The S&P 500 down 68 at 6,822. And the NASDAQ slipping nearly 400 points from its all-time high at 23,581. All of this as the major averages hit record highs earlier in the week, and now we've seen a pullback here. President Trump praising an amazing meeting with the Chinese leader today following a bunch of announcements bridging trade between those two economies. The two met at an airport in South Korea to cap off President Trump's whirlwind tour of Asia. The president described the talks as a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10. Investors taking in the latest earnings news this afternoon. On Apple, we see Apple stock today had closed higher by $1.70 at $271.40 and has popped in after-hours trading on its earnings news. Amazon also moving higher in after-hours trading on better-than-expected results. Amazon shares had closed down about $7 at $222 and change, up about $30 now in after-hours trading. Alphabet Google shares jumping by as much as 5% after the company reported stronger-than-expected quarterly results, and Microsoft down by about 3%. Meta taking a big hit today. Parent company of Facebook not getting too many likes today, down 85.20 at the closing bell to 666 and change. Looks like it's moving higher now in after-hours trading. We had that Meta news after the bell yesterday. Investors also taking in the latest comments from Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, all this a day after the Fed cut interest rates by a quarter percentage point, but said a December rate cut is not a foregone conclusion. Far from it, he said. Most investors are still betting on the December cut, though. We'll take a closer look at that coming up. Apple earnings sending the stock higher on upbeat iPhone commentary this afternoon. Netflix has a big announcement today. They plan to do a 10-for-1 stock split after the shares dropped to a 6-month low. Netflix announcing the move, saying it's designed to make it easier for employees to participate in the company's stock option program after its shares topped 1,000 at the beginning of the year and hit an all-time high in late June. We see Netflix shares right now hovering at around 1,089. Here's one we haven't talked about in a while. Moderna stock moving higher today by about 17% after a report that the vaccine maker is in talks regarding a deal of significant scope, according to Stat News, which could include a buyout. Type of deal is still unclear, and whether this is a possibility of an acquisition or a partnership. Moderna stock, by the way, is down about 95% from its 2021 all-time high when Moderna rolled out one of the COVID-19 vaccines back during the pandemic days. The government shutdown continues, no end in sight. By the end of this week, SNAP food stamp benefits are set to expire, impacting some 42 million people set to lose food assistance benefits through that program. There are reports that police here in California boosted patrols at grocery stores now as millions of people are set to lose those benefits. We'll get the reel on what's going on with the Honorable Dennis ZINE, former LA City Council member, retired LAPD sergeant with 50-plus years of service to the City of Angels. He'll be joining me live later this hour. But first, on your money, the markets, the economy, gold, crypto, the whole works now. Joining us live, Gabriel Wisdom, Managing Director of American Money Management, based here in Southern California, also author of Wisdom on Value Investing. Gabriel Wisdom, thank you very much for taking the call here this afternoon.
Well, thank you, Frank. People are starting to worry about this market, whether it's a bubble. Are we overly committed to AI, all things AI? Well, it really bears little resemblance to the dot-com bubble of the late 1990s, also known as the internet bubble. Between 1995 and 2000, the NASDAQ index of mostly dot-com tech-heavy companies experienced a five-fold increase. It peaked in March of 2000, and then it fell by nearly 77% October 2 years later. So it's a good time to remember that what goes up does come down, but in this case, many of these dot-com companies had no earnings, and they were spending what money they had raised on aggressive advertising. Companies like Amazon, eBay, and Priceline managed to survive the dot-com crash, but many others went bankrupt as the market corrected itself. And by the way, Priceline, it's now known as Booking Holdings, and it's trading at $5,008 a share. So it hasn't done too badly, along with Amazon and eBay. The internet boom was very real. It's just that enthusiasm, we didn't curb our enthusiasm.
All right, on the air live with Gabriel Wisdom. Fast forward to the present. AI is the focus, of course, now. Talk about AI bubble with tremendous investment in that direction. NVIDIA hit a record high this week, pulling back today by more than $4 at $202 and change. What about the Magnificent One? What about this talk of an AI bubble here and what's happening in the tech sector?
Well, I think we're probably maybe a couple of years away from a peak because everybody doesn't get it yet. Usually that's where you see the very top is when everybody has that aha moment and they have fear of missing out. The Magnificent Seven's exceptional success has been basically fueled by, having very little hard assets. They were made up of intellectual property, human capital, networking effects, intellectual property, and they generated tremendous returns. But now, fast forward present day, Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, they're set to spend between 21 and 35% of their revenue on AI infrastructure, capital spending, more than both the average global utility today and AT&T at the height of the telecom bubble. So these concerns about high valuations, they're a bit premature, but I'd say history is certainly rhyming.
All right, a lot of news today after the bell. Apple. What about Apple here? We saw the earnings news come out. What's your reaction to what Apple came out with today with its latest iPhone getting a buzz here and Apple stock moving higher in after-hours trading?
Well, I like Apple a lot, but there are some clouds hovering over consumers. The CEO at Apple cited holiday sales of the iPhones, and that's very, very real, but there are worries of a holiday Grinch that might steal some.
Hey, Bruin fans, want to go behind the scenes with your favorite teams and athletes? How about getting exclusive merch and opportunities to enter sweepstakes like sideline access at the Rose Bowl? Introducing Blue and Gold Society, UCLA Athletics fan membership program created to support Bruin student athletes. Members receive benefits like exclusive gear, videos featuring insider stories, and incredible experiences courtesy of UCLA Athletics. Sign up today at blueandgoldsociety.com.
Start your day with America in the Morning.
I'm John Trout, your host.
From breaking news.
The U.S. Supreme Court with rulings. Shifting gears, Apple has released a new iPhone. Here's the Wednesday Business Report. It's far from a seller's market.
To politics and entertainment.
Moving into scary movie season, so why not another Conjuring movie? Shifting gears, Powerball jackpot is now the third largest ever in history.
Live long and prosper.
America in the Morning.
Fresh each day.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
of those Christmas sales, and a lot of consumers are watching the Grinch, is because we've seen layoff notices, particularly from tech companies, and those are on the upswing. But Apple has the momentum, and the free cash flow is one of my favorites.
All right, and we also heard from Amazon, better than expected results, so that one will be in focus again pretty soon here as the holiday season rolls around. Amazon got a very nice pop here in after hours, trading up about $30 at $251.
Yes, and we need to remember too, Frank, that these markets have 10-year cycles on average. I mean, you can't set your watch or mark your calendar to them, but recall back at the start of 1980, the largest companies in the world were dominated by oil and commodity producers, companies like ExxonMobil, Royal Dutch Shell, and so forth. Now we're talking about internet and online related companies like Amazon, like Meta, like Microsoft, and so forth, and others. These investment trends are cyclical. I love Amazon here, but they have 1.5 million employees. They're laying off some 14,000 of them. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Gabriel Wisdom live with us on the air here this afternoon. And, of course, first thing this morning, actually late last night, big meeting between President Trump and the Chinese leader. And certainly it's been a market-moving event every time China trade comes up. What's your reaction to what we got from that meeting and where things stand on trade, the soybeans and everything else that was discussed today, and the kind of market reaction we can expect here down the line?
Well, like everybody else, Frank, I'm optimistic. I love that both presidents are laying down their swords, so to speak. These are the two largest economies in the world. But I'd say odds are that it's not really over, and the big question is whether this deal is going to hold. The good news is it means, we've stopped punching at each other. But the reality check here is, if we recall back in June, President Trump declared our deal with China is a done deal. And then he added our relationship with China is excellent. And then there's a decent chance the Supreme Court rules that the tariffs are unconstitutional without congressional approval. So happy to see the meeting went well, but still looking.
All right, and this is the day after the Fed had their big meeting and announcement and cut rates by a 0.25 percentage point, and it looks like the Fed chairman took some of the steam out of this week's rally, which had propelled the market to record highs and expectations. The Fed would continue to cut rates in December, but he said that's not a foregone conclusion. It's been a while since we've chatted behind live microphones, so give us your impressions of what we got from the Fed this week and the outlook for interest rates.
Well, Fed Chairman Powell did refer to the data blackout, and that made it difficult. You've got this lights out on the data, and in fact, the Bureau of Labor Statistics missed the October 3 report. The shutdown now in its 30th day. If it continues, we won't see a jobs or any meaningful reports on November 7. So I think that's what the Fed chair is referring to. We've had 22 of these government shutdowns the past 50 years. The last one was 35 days during Trump 1.0. We're now at day 30. It's starting to hurt. So hopefully we'll get a resolution.
All right. Gold, meanwhile, off its all-time high, cracking below 4,000 this week. Right now it's around 4,039. Silver, which popped above 50. That was big news about a week or so ago. Now back to around 48 and change. What about the precious metals here?
Well, I think there's also some fear of missing out among institutions and even the central banks with regard to gold in particular. The purchase for investment. Gold is purchased for investment and industrial purposes. Also, physical silver takes the form of coins and jewelry, flatware, decorative pieces, and then there's the Internet of all things. There's the data centers. We need platinum, palladium. We need these metals. Lots of them I can't even pronounce for you, but I wouldn't give up on them.
All right, and speaking of pronouncing things, let's turn to cryptos now. We can expand our vocabulary here now. Gabriel Wisdom with all the long list of crypto offerings, but certainly a Bitcoin getting attention. It's been bouncing around right now at around 107,000. Ethereum is back to below 3,800 here. And looks like the cryptos have come under pressure this week in the face of this blizzard of news headlines here. What about the cryptos now?
Well, we're all watching cryptos because, even the banks are interested in blockchain and digitization. And there's a new category of public companies that we're seeing getting a high profile, the digital asset treasury companies, the so-called DATCOs. These are firms that basically they accumulate digital assets. Usually it's Bitcoin, but that's the core function of their business. And some of the more high-profile DATCOs, including Tom Lee's BitMine Immersion Technologies, BMNR, very.
Hey, Bruin fans, want to go behind the scenes with your favorite teams and athletes? How about getting exclusive merch and opportunities to enter sweepstakes like sideline access at the Rose Bowl? Introducing Blue and Gold Society, UCLA Athletics fan membership program created to support Bruin student athletes. Members receive benefits like exclusive gear, videos featuring insider stories, and incredible experiences courtesy of UCLA Athletics. Sign up today at blueandgoldsociety.com.
Start your day with America in the Morning.
I'm John Trout, your host.
From breaking news.
The U.S. Supreme Court with rulings. Shifting gears, Apple has released a new iPhone. Here's the Wednesday Business Report. It's far from a seller's market.
To politics and entertainment.
Moving into scary movie season, so why not another Conjuring movie? Shifting gears, Powerball jackpot is now the third largest ever in history.
Live long and prosper.
America in the Morning.
Fresh each day.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
High profile. These are down sharply, down some 70%. Some of the DATCO shares are trading at a discount to their crypto holdings. So it's just a reminder that this is a very volatile, exciting area, but lots of volatility.
All right, oil back in focus as well. And I saw some of the write-ups here expecting a big drop in oil prices soon based on supply around the world and easing tensions in the Middle East. And now it looks like also between the U.S. And China. What about oil here?
Well, remember when President Trump pledged to drill and drill, baby, drill and unleash American energy. But what's happened is that the global supply has expanded, and rising costs from the trade wars have stopped production. The real tell is America's rig count. These are the oil rigs. They're an indicator of future activity. They have been historically anyway. They've dropped from some 482 of these rigs to 420 rigs over the past 9 months. And eventually, if the trend continues, Frank, we could get oil shortages because oil companies won't be drilling. They won't drill, baby, drill. And that means higher prices. So I'm sticking with the oil and natural gas.
All right. At this point, Gabriel Wisdom, any other specific places where you are putting money now and or taking it off the table?
Well, I like these companies that have been around a while that have signaled spin-offs. Warner Brothers, for example, is going to split into two publicly traded halves. There's a lot of excitement there. We know from a number of different places, including Comcast, which is also spinning out a $7 billion bundle of their legacy media and digital assets, the symbol CMCSA. They spun the Versant Media Group. They'll be doing more of this. They want to break it up. Honeywell is another one. They spun off Solstice Materials. That just happened. They want to be three companies, symbols HON. I'm looking at these because historically the spinoffs get cheap, and then they tend to do well if the fundamentals are good.
All right, and one last important piece of news: the Netflix announcement, 10-for-1 stock split. That'll put shares back to around $100 here. What's your reaction to that, and what are your thoughts on Netflix here?
Well, it's very positive, Frank. The last time Netflix had a stock split, I think, was 2015. It was 7-for-1, as I recall. But I do know that since Netflix has gone public, which was 2002, the stock is up a whopping 100,000%. So this is a big winner on any major dip. Netflix ought to be interesting, and stock splits usually have a positive investor psychology. In the aftermarket right now, we're seeing Netflix shares pop, so I think it's good.
Gabriel Wisdom, Managing Director of American Money Management, which happens to be based right here in Southern California, also author of Wisdom on Value Investing. Thank you very much, Gabriel Wisdom, for handling all this this afternoon and for joining us live here on Mottek On Money. Mottek On Money continues, 790 KABC. Stocks pulling back from record highs today on the big U.S.-China trade news, and tech earnings continue with Apple out with earnings this afternoon. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it with the top tech analysts this afternoon coming up in just a few moments. Daniel Ives from Wedbush will be joining us live shortly. The Dow coming in for a closing loss of 110 points today. S&P 500 down 68, and the NASDAQ coming off a record high down 377 points. The yield in the 10-year note is suddenly back up to 4.09%. Gold bouncing around back above 4,000 now after cracking below 4K earlier in the week. Gold up $23 at the moment at 4,039 and change. Silver at 48.74. Crude oil futures just above $60 a barrel. After the closing bell, Apple came out with earnings. The stock had closed up $1.70 to $271 and change, up about 7 now in after-hours trading. Netflix moving lower today by $11.41 to $1,089. After hours up about $38 at $1,127. The company's announced a 10-for-1 stock split. Taking a look at Meta, one among the casualties of the day in reaction to the earnings news that came out yesterday. Meta, the parent company of Facebook, did a face plant today, down 85 and change at 666.47, up about 8 now in after-hours trading. Taking a look at the cryptos now, we see a lot of bouncing around here with Bitcoin back above 107,000 now, 107,400 or so. ETH, Ethereum, just below 3,800. Solana at 183 and Doge at 18 cents. And now the latest news on 790 KABC. Mottek On Money continues now with extended coverage of the tech rally and now a bit of a tech pullback. Tech stocks leading the decline on Wall Street today after the U.S.-China trade truce was announced by President Trump first thing today. And we got some big earnings news this week, including after the closing bell, Apple and Amazon. Let's continue our extended coverage now. Joining us live now is top tech analyst Daniel Ives, Managing Director and Global Head of Technology Research at Wedbush Securities, which happens to be headquartered right here in Southern California. He's also chairman of 8Go Holdings, which is building a WorldCoin crypto treasury reserve. He's also a world traveler, having just returned to the States after attending business conferences in Asia. Daniel Ives, thank you very much for taking the call here this afternoon.
Hey, Frank. Great to be here.
Great job on the television financial networks this afternoon. A reaction to the Apple news. Why don't we start there and give us your reaction to what Apple put out this afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no bigger barometer for what's happening to the consumer, from a demand perspective. And I think what you're seeing on Apple, iPhone demand in China is really looks strong going into next quarter. And that's been a headwind for them. So that's very positive for Apple. And I think what's starting to happen now is you're really seeing a renaissance of growth at Apple. This is very bullish for the stock and bullish for tech.
All right, Amazon also out with earnings. What about that one?
I mean, pop the champagne on that one. That was, a massive number on AWS Cloud. Look, and that was one. The New York City cab driver was bearish on Amazon going into the quarter. So this is really positive for Amazon. It also shows the AI revolution spreading. It's not just about Microsoft and Google. Amazon is now starting to get on the act.
All right, on the flip side, Meta, parent company of Facebook, did a face plant today on the earnings news that came out yesterday. What about Facebook here after that $85 haircut today back to $666 and change?
I'd buy it all day long. I mean, look, take a step back. The stock sold off on strong numbers because they're spending more on CapEx and building further out in AI. You want them to do that. I mean, this is an AI arms race. anytime you can get this stock on these types of sell-off, we own it. I think ultimately Meta is $1,000 stock, in our opinion. And I think overall tech earnings, when you look at Microsoft, you look at Google, you look at obviously Amazon, Apple, I mean, this is bullish. It's validation for AI revolution.
All right, and right down the line here on my list, Netflix announcing a 10-for-1 stock split. What about Netflix here?
I mean, look, a position of strength, right? International subs continue to increase. Just more and more positives that we're seeing. You're going to see more stock splits that I believe happen, over the coming months.
All right, and Microsoft pulling back. Many of these names have hit record highs just recently. Microsoft down today about 16 and change.
I mean, but that's another example, right? I mean, Microsoft was a robust quarter. You're seeing massive Azure growth. And when it comes to AI workload, they're going to be the one that continues to benefit. Look, I think Microsoft's going to be a $5 trillion market cap in the next year. So anytime this sells off, you own it.
All right, zooming out to the big picture. Last time we spoke with you, or you were at a business conference in Singapore, and then had a whirlwind trip through Asia, just like President Trump just did. What's your reaction to the big trade truce announced today by the president following that meeting?
I mean, it was a game of poker, right? And ultimately, I mean, they needed to get a deal done, and that's what they did. And I think, U.S. needs China, China needs U.S., and that was a very positive in terms of everything that we just saw.
All right, and what about some other? We got the Fed decision on interest rates too in the mix. We're just a day after that, where the Fed cut rates by a 1/4 percentage point, but left in doubt that there'll be another cut in December. What do you think is going to happen?
Frank, there's a better chance of me not eating candy on Halloween than the Fed not cutting for the next 4 meetings. So any caution that you heard, we just take that as that it's not going to happen. In other words, like they're going to have to cut, and any sort of sell-off on that, I just take, in my opinion, as a buying opportunity. Fed's going to cut between now and the spring, and then eventually Powell gets a replacement, which is going to be a dove.
All right, put your crypto hat on for just a moment. What are your thoughts on what's happening with the cryptos? We see Bitcoin bouncing around quite a bit after hitting a record high above 126 not too long ago. Right now it's around 107, and Ethereum back below 3,800 here, and the list goes on. It's
a consolidation. I mean, in other words, you're going to have these pause and digestion periods, but it's not the end of this run. Like I've told you, like Bitcoin's going to have a 2 in front of it. And Ethereum, I think 12 to 15,000. And I just think like you're just going to go through these periods. But to me, we remain very bullish on Bitcoin.
All right. What about analog gold, which hit a record high not too long ago, around 4,400, cracked below 4,000 this week, and is just above 4K here at the moment?
I mean, look, we're very bullish on gold. I mean, I think the path for gold continues to be higher. And I think what you're going to see more and more is investors are going to continue to play tech, crypto, and gold. Those are going to be the trades, I think, into next year.
What was your message to the various business conferences? We're going to have Steve Forbes on this program tomorrow, by the way. I know you attended the Forbes event in Singapore recently. What was your message to the audience there?
Yeah, and I was with Steve Forbes in Indonesia at the Forbes in Jakarta.
Yep.
And I mean, we were basically just saying like the AI revolution is happening globally, and it's a true fourth industrial revolution for tech. But for the first time in 30 years, the U.S. is ahead of China when it comes to tech. And that continues to be my message. And I'm sure Steve, he'll have some great insight, as he always does. But to me, that's really the message. Like, in other words, this is an AI arms race. But for the first time in decades, the U.S. is ahead of China.
All right. And authenticating, whether it's AI or human, something you're focused on there at AITCO. Maybe I love talking to you about this. Maybe you can give us some more enlightenment on how this technology works and what you guys do there.
Yeah, I mean, we believe WorldCoin, if you look at the true AI world, you're going to need authentication. That's going to ultimately be through.
Hey, Bruin fans, want to go behind the scenes with your favorite teams and athletes? How about getting exclusive merch and opportunities to enter sweepstakes like sideline access at the Rose Bowl? Introducing Blue and Gold Society, UCLA Athletics fan membership program created to support Bruin student athletes. Members receive benefits like exclusive gear, videos featuring insider stories, and incredible experiences courtesy of UCLA Athletics. Sign up today at blueandgoldsociety.com.
We are the musers on the pod so far. We've discussed people we love.
I didn't tell you guys. Cuban emailed.
What are you wearing?
Well, no, that's not.
Things we love.
Got way into typewriters.
How many typewriters do you own?
Let's not podcast anymore.
Just guesstimate.
It's time to get really down and dirty.
These are great ideas. Start a podcast and then forget to promote it on social media.
So,
what is our podcast about? Yeah, whatever we feel like.
The Musers, the podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Iris scan. I mean, no different than how you get identified if you go queer through an airport. This is how you're going to have to be identified in an AI world, especially given robotics, given bots, orbs, is our ticker. And, we're buyers of world, and we believe this is the future. It's going to be the single sign-on for authentication in an AI world. And I think also, to me, it's really AI meets crypto. That continues to really be, I think, the intersection.
All right. Any flies in the Chardonnay at this point with the government shutdown continuing and nervousness about the SNAP benefits expiring and so forth, and lack of government reports and so forth? Is that concerning at all?
Look, I mean, you don't want to see it, right? I mean, obviously, as it continues to extend out, I do believe, like with Trump back from the summit, got China done. I mean, I would be surprised if this doesn't end next week. In other words, I think it's so it'll be the longest government shutdown ever. If it continues to last another few weeks, 3 weeks, then it starts to have an impact. And I think it's the last thing you want to see in the Beltway. So I think you're going to start to see a deal get done there.
All right. You getting back out this way anytime soon?
I will. And Frank, I just want to say, I wish on Halloween I was stopping by your house. I know you're the one that gives out full candy bars. So I wish I was there tomorrow.
Well, hope to see you soon. If it's not Halloween, sometime very soon. Dan, thank you very much for taking the call on this big day here today.
See.
Daniel Ives at Wedbush Securities, headquartered here in Southern California, also chairman of 8Go Holdings. Let's get out to the freeways now. 790 KABC. Mottek On Money continues, 790 KABC. The government shutdown continues with no end in sight. Looks like we're at day 30 or so here. Lawmakers feeling the heat now in Washington as federal employees rack up unpaid hours, and critical food assistance services are set to expire starting November 1st. The SNAP program, the food stamp program. There are reports that police here and elsewhere are boosting patrols at grocery stores now as millions of people are set to lose those benefits. If the government shutdown continues past this weekend, some 42 million Americans are set to lose food assistance benefits through that SNAP program. Joining us live now, the Honorable Dennis ZINE, former LA City Council member, retired LAPD sergeant with 50-plus years of service to the City of Angels. Dennis ZINE, thank you for coming to the line.
My pleasure being with you, Frank.
Wonderful to have you with us here. We've had government shutdowns in the past, never this long. What do you think is going to happen this weekend, and what is the situation? Is, in fact, security being increased at grocery stores now?
Well, Frank, I read that article. Barstow Police Department is going to step up patrols at grocery stores in that particular part of California. However, there's no specific details assigned other than the regular patrols, which are shrinking within the LAPD. They're losing personnel. They're not gaining the numbers they need on recruitment. The current number is 8,646, and that's been holding steady for a while. So I haven't heard of any, and I've checked with a couple of patrol divisions. They don't have any special details going. Obviously, they're on alert. They have the radio cars that are on patrol. If they get a call, they'll respond. But they don't have any major task force that are established. And this article that came out from the Barstow Police Department is setting up patrols. We've got a tremendous amount of grocery stores in Los Angeles, and I don't think we really have the resources to do patrols on all of them. I know some have private security Some have corporate security, but there's no special emphasis, to my knowledge, that the department is bracing anything for a mad rush on the grocery stores within the Los Angeles city area.
Mm-hmm. And of course, there have been changes in the laws here in California related to shoplifting, right? And also under the new DA here, Nathan Hochman. How are shoplifting cases being handled nowadays?
Well, I will say that our district attorney, Nathan Hochman, has done a tremendous job changing the attitude and the prosecution of the former district attorney, who did nothing except let the criminals run free and terrorize all of Los Angeles. Gascon was terrible when it comes to being a prosecutor. Our district attorney has done a tremendous job working with the police, working with the sheriff's department, working with local agencies, and doing prosecution as the office is required to do. So we find great prosecution with District Attorney Hochman. He's doing a great job, and I wish him well. I've worked with him in the past during his campaign. He's got his heart and soul in doing the job that we expect the district attorney to do, prosecute the criminals in the city and the county of Los Angeles, and that's exactly what he's doing. So rest assured, if someone gets arrested, he will see to it that if the facts are there, they will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And that's what we expect him to do as a district attorney.
All right. He was elected, of course, by a landslide, and California voters also voted for Proposition 36. That was the proposition that allowed felony charges and increased sentences for certain drug and theft crimes, rolling back a lot of that other proposition that created that ridiculous situation where people could get away with shoplifting and all that. But apparently that proposition is not being properly funded. What are you hearing about that, and what's the buzz about this and among law enforcement and business people you talk to?
Well, law enforcement is frustrated because they want to utilize the resources that are in law and use it to the fullest extent to protect the people that are paying their taxes and expect law enforcement to be there to protect them and the prosecution to be there. And we find people resistant to that. So we need to get back to the basics. You commit a crime, you get caught, there's consequences. And hopefully that would be a deterrent for people to commit crimes. Under the previous administration of Gascon, you commit a crime and nothing happens. You wouldn't even get a slap on the wrist. It would be totally a joke, which demoralizes law enforcement. And it tells the public and the business people nobody cares. So they say, well, you know what are we in business for in Los Angeles? No one cares. LA County is a joke. So what we find, they close shop and they leave. So we're on a much better level than we were before. It's just going to take time for all this to sort out. But District Attorney Hochman's doing a great job. He's got a great crew. He's reorganized the whole operation of the District Attorney's office, and I commend him for what he's done to protect the law-abiding citizen. That's what the DA is there to do, and law enforcement's there to make sure that the criminals are apprehended, and they go through the prosecution. If they're guilty, fine. If they're not, they're let loose. But we need to have a fair system, which I now know we have compared to what we had in the past.
On the line with Dennis ZINE, the Honorable Dennis ZINE, former LA City Council member and longtime LAPD sergeant, 50-plus years of service to the City of Angels. I guess the debate continues. Is crime up or is it down?
Well, it depends on what statistics you're reviewing. I just pulled the statistics citywide profile, and what it shows is crime is down. But I seriously question if crime is down. They have a new reporting process. I don't really think they're capturing all the crimes that are reported, or if people aren't reporting as they are victims of crime. But with 8,646, that's everyone from the recruiting academy to the police chief. Not a lot for the entire region of Los Angeles City. You're talking about almost 4 million people and 500 square miles. It's a tremendous territory for 8646. So I believe that a lot of crime is not reported for whatever reason. You can report it online. You can do it not so much at a police station. They want to make it very convenient. But I think somehow the system is not really doing what it needs to do to have accuracy. I would question the accuracy because what I have found is there's more crime that's being reported as I look at the crime report that comes out citywide profile.
All right, right in the heart of the city, MacArthur Park, and what's happening there getting new attention. Looks like the city, I saw these reports, moving forward with plans to build a $2.3 million iron fence around MacArthur Park. This is a place, of course, that was envisioned as a family-friendly place where kids can play and use those boats on the lake there. And it was a very expensive renovation years ago of that whole area. But obviously, if you drive by there today, you see what's happening there with the homeless and open-air drug dealing, apparently. What's your reaction to this fencing that's planned for MacArthur Park?
Well, I find this interesting because a previous council member in Hollywood had a fence around the park, Echo Park. The new council member came in and tore it down. Now we have a situation. We know there's crime, drugs, etc. MacArthur Park is out of control. We know that the police have put some resources in there. We know that Langer's restaurant across the street was going to close down.
Yep.
Been there for many, many years. So I think they're doing a little tokenism. The council member for that area wants unarmed police, not supportive of the LAPD. That council member who represents that area is not a supporter of public safety. And that's one of the problems. You have a council member who doesn't support public safety. They're in office. They're not going to do anything to help enhance public safety and help the LAPD and the officers who try to protect people, whether it's a rich area or poor area. That area is really suffering from a lot of problems. And I blame the council member for that area, who is responsible for a lot of the problems, because the council member does not want the police there and been very vocal about that.
They've already put some fences around some of the commercial real estate in that area, which appears to be for sale. It's been a tough sell there, given what's going on in that neighborhood. What's this fence going to do?
Well, I don't think it's going to do much, but just because people don't have money doesn't mean they can't live in a safe environment. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you have to be rich and live in Beverly Hills to have a safe environment. You need to have a safe environment within the region. Whatever the neighborhood is, it needs to be safe. And I will tell you, there's many neighborhoods in Los Angeles that are not safe. Just looking at the people who are victimized, that area has a lot of families, a lot of poor families, and a lot of crime, a lot of violence. But that particular council member is absolutely against whatever the LAPD wants to do.
The Honorable Dennis ZINE, former LA City Council member, retired LAPD Sergeant, 50-plus years of service to the City of Angels. We thank you for your service, Dennis ZINE, and thank you for coming to the line. Stay tuned now for the 790 KBC News Blitz with Randy Wang, and I'll be back again at 6 o'clock this evening for the Union Rescue Mission program with URM CEO Mark Hood, and I'll be back with more at 4 tomorrow, 790 KBC.
Hey, Bruin fans, want to go behind the scenes with your favorite teams and athletes? How about getting exclusive merch and opportunities to enter sweepstakes like sideline access at the Rose Bowl? Introducing Blue and Gold Society, UCLA Athletics fan membership program created to support Bruin student athletes. Members receive benefits like exclusive gear, videos featuring insider stories, and incredible experiences courtesy of UCLA Athletics. Sign up today at blueandgoldsociety.com.